and I will not tell you again. I... Well, hello. I didn't see you. Uh, this doesn't go there. I wonder how how that got there. Hmm. Welcome back to Tragerstein. I am Vatundi, and today's lesson we'll be talking about understanding. This is your first real lesson, so sit down and let's get started. Did you get better looking? I feel like you got better looking. Don't know what it is about you. I'm starting to like you. Not too much, but a little bit. Understanding is going to be the root of all of the changes that you make in your entire life, mentally and spiritually, and to some extent, physically. But what does it mean to understand? Does it mean that you know everything? No, not really. And does it mean that you agree with? No, certainly not. And we're going to go through some examples of understanding and what kind of change it can make, and what the application of understanding can do to change your life and the lives of the people around you. It will be the root of everything, every positive change. So strap in, put your rectangle down. Thank you. My eyes are here, fella. Understanding. Let's go with our first example. You have a young man and a young woman, an old man and an old woman. It doesn't matter. A couple who hasn't matured in their relationship and understanding. He is liking all the butts on the rectangle, right? Like. Scroll butt, scroll butt, scroll butt, scroll butt. She sees this and she doesn't much care for it. So she comes at him. I saw you liking this, and why are you liking it, and why are you liking it, and why are you saying that? You know how women are. And then he, I didn't realize that, because you know how guys are. What we have is a misunderstanding, right? Now, we're not stepping into the other person's shoes. You've already decided who's right and who's wrong. But hear me. Listen. When she came at him in that way, what he heard was, I don't want you to have any fun, and I don't want you to look at anything that's desirable or pleasurable, and if you do, certainly don't like it. I don't want to know that you find attractive people attractive. That's what he heard, which of course doesn't make any sense, because attractive people, like yours truly, are attractive. And what he said to her when he said, oh, I didn't think it was be a big deal. Sorry, I didn't think. Because, men are also pretty dumb. What she heard was, I don't care about you and what your opinion is. That's what she heard. Now, the reality of this small altercation, when we can't handle these small things and we can't understand the small things, we will never have a successful relationship when it comes to larger issues. What he meant to say was, I didn't realize. I love you very much, and I love your body. You're the one that I make love to. You're the one I could watch you brush your hair for a lifetime. I like the way you wiggle your toes, and when you go out into the kitchen and you bend over to get something out of the vegetable drawer. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry. That's what he meant to say. And what she meant to say is, I love you, and I don't have a body like that. I don't know that I'll ever have a body like that. And you like that body. And if you like that body, how can you like my body? And it hurts me to think that I will never be good enough for you. This is what was meant. It's not what was said. But neither one took the time to truly understand the point of view of the other one. And so you have a mess, right? Now you have a mess on your hands. And let's move that on up to, let's go to politics, right? Let's move right to politics, the hot topic of the last decade. It's disgusting. The identification that people have with their politics. It's obscene, is what it is. There was a time when you didn't know your neighbor's politics. You just knew they were a good person and they would give your car a jump start if you needed it. That was all you needed to know. And let me tell you, the world was a better place for it. Now let's talk politics, and let's talk about the recent election that you had out there. You had Kamala and Donald Trump. Donald Trump is now the president as of this lesson. The vitriol and the venom that people shot at each other, and have been for quite some time, is very disgusting. Now, if you can honestly not understand why someone would have voted for Donald Trump, then you're an idiot. I can't help you with that. If you can't look at policy and economy and what the priorities are of that individual and what they would like to see happen in this country, and see that they voted a certain way and not demonize them, then you are a sad case. And vice versa. If you cannot see why someone would go to the polls and vote for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump, then you are also a fool. Everyone has their own feelings and vibrations and thoughts. And that's why the United States has a democracy. It's truly a republic, just for the record. But it's a democratic republic. If you cannot understand, just put yourself in the other person's mind for a second and say, okay, I can kind of see your point. I can kind of see where you're going there. Oh, that's a good argument. Let me think about that. If you cannot do that, you are the problem with everything going on out there. I see, in fact, I don't even know where it is, but I do have a rectangle, just like you. And I can see on there, on profiles, if you voted for Trump, don't friend request me. If you voted for Kamala, or if you voted for Biden, don't friend request me, don't have a conversation with me. It's idiotic. It is truly idiotic what has been happening. And I could probably go on about this for 40 minutes or maybe 40 hours if I got into it. People think differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it is the greatest asset we have is different thinking people. Look at you, look at me. We are different. And because we are different, we make the world a better place. So if you can't understand why someone would vote one way or the other, then you're the problem. And that is true. And maybe that stings a little, but it is true. And the idea that you would put something up or to alienate an entire half, in this case over half, of the population, and call them all idiots, and they're all racists, and they're all Nazis, and everything. You are out of your mind. You are not well. And if you can call half of the country all, what's the thing they say, the libtards, and worthless libs, and I guess, I don't know, I'm not too familiar with the jargon, but it's disgusting to me that people would treat people in such a way and then look around and wonder why the world is in chaos. Try treating people like people. They have the same autonomy that you do. Then let us move on from the politics. We don't need any more of that nonsense. There's enough of it on your rectangle. Once you leave Driver Stein, feel free to indulge yourself. You can gorge on the Chinese buffet of radical left and right bullshit that comes through on your rectangle. And then realize When you go to the mall, when you go to the store, when you walk down the street, that people are just people. And they don't hate you. And you don't hate them. Try that on. Step out of your rectangle every now and then. Let's move on to religion. You have the holy rollers out there, right? The people who come at you aggressively with Yeshua. Well, they call him Jesus because they don't know anything. They don't know the truth about him, which is something that we will talk about. Yeshua, who is divine, and I shall illuminate you on that. They come at you, and they tell you you are wrong, you're a sinner, and you're going to hell. Even those of us who love Yeshua are very uncomfortable when people walk up and say, "Can I talk to you about the Lord Jesus?" It doesn't feel right. Right? But if you cannot understand why someone would find this great joy and love and want to share it, then you're on the wrong side. Then you don't understand. Just the same as Muslims or Jews or Confucianists or Taoists, there is something inside them that they have in general. I am not talking about any radicalized, violent groups in any faith. There is something inside them, and they love what they love, and they want to share it with you. And maybe you're not receptive to it, maybe you don't want to hear it, and that is fine, but you can understand why they would want to share it with you, right? You can understand that. Now, let's go to, let's go on to trans people. Oh, everyone's getting all prickly. What's he going to say? Do we cancel him? Do we shut him down? We're going to shut it down, probably. The racist Vitandi, who is anti-trans. I'm not. Listen to what I have to say. Try to understand. Let's talk about the huge cultural idea of transgenderism and where it has gotten us, because no one seems to understand. I'll give you an example of how this understanding, how taking the time to understand someone else, not to agree, but to understand someone else, how we can use that in a real situation to create bonds instead of hatred. I will give you, let's see, I don't want to get anybody's tits in a twist. In this case, our transgender female will be Charlotte. And our naturally born female will be Meredith. Right, very good. Charlotte has the pee-pee. Meredith does not have the pee-pee. Got it? Good. Charlotte walks into the ladies' bathroom. Meredith is washing her hands, and she goes, "Huh!" Or whatever women do when you walk in on them in the bathroom. I don't know. I haven't done that since I was just a little wizard. And Charlotte goes, "What's the problem? What's the problem with me being here? You don't like it when I'm here? You racist, homophobe, blah, 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 blah." And so, of course, Meredith says, "You know what, you've got a dick and you shouldn't be in the bathroom," and then we have a confrontation. Bah! Let's reel it in. Let's reel it in. Charlotte has decided to take this journey, to go down this road to become a woman. And Charlotte has, at a great social cost, at a great mental cost, and sometimes at a great financial cost, decided that Charlotte is a woman. Charlotte walks into the bathroom that she thinks she would be the most comfortable in. Now, when she comes around the corner and Meredith goes, "Huh!" Now, Charlotte can take a second to understand what Meredith might be thinking and feeling. What might she be thinking and feeling? She might be feeling threatened. She might be feeling like what has classically been a female-only space is now violated. Perhaps she has her daughter with her and she has some concerns because of what the media bullshit throws out there for everybody. Now, there are cases, of course, where people shouldn't just be in public at all, honestly. Now, Charlotte took a minute to think about and to try to understand what Meredith might be experiencing. She might have a different attitude. And if Meredith took a second to understand that Charlotte has been working very hard at finding herself and being who she believes that she is. Now we have a different situation, and it all happened in a second because we took some time to understand. Now, what if, when Charlotte sees the reaction of Meredith, she says, "I'm sorry." Instead of attacking, saying, "I'm sorry if you feel uncomfortable that I'm here. I can wait outside or I can use the other restroom." What have we done now? We've created a situation of understanding that sucks Meredith into the situation of understanding where she, unless she really is such a hate monger, would say something along the lines of, "Oh no, I'm sorry. It just caught me by surprise. I'm sorry for the way I reacted." Go right ahead. Right? Now we've created a bond. Just one fraction of a second where two people who the media, the rectangle, would have them at each other's throats. And they have broken that cycle and had a pleasant interaction and understood each other so much better. And they're both better off for the experience. All it takes is a fraction of a second to empathize, to understand what someone else might be thinking and why they might be thinking it and feeling it. Neither one is less valid, but the aggression has to stop. It is not a sea of enlightenment out there. It is a sea of sadness, and it grows sadder by the day because people will not understand each other. Let us talk about one more idea of understanding, and I think you will have the picture. Abortion. More prickles, more hair on its end. This is very important because we are the only species that goes out of its way to exterminate itself. If there are a lot of good people who don't want to see babies being treated like medical waste. And there are a lot of people who don't see babies as babies. We have a great conflict, and we could do an entire lesson on what the truth is, but we won't for the sake of this particular lesson. If you are on the side where you believe that every baby is precious and wonderful and should be carried to term, that's well and good. Both sides are well and good for the sake of this lesson. But if you cannot understand the situations that someone might be in that would cause them to drive towards an abortion, if you can sit there and be completely negligent of whatever horrific situation led to that decision, then you're wrong. Then you're wrong. It is easy to judge from a place where you're not involved in it. It's easy to try to tell somebody to have a baby when you do not have to care for him or her, when you do not have to rear that little child. It's very easy. There is something that Kennedy said that I do rather like. He said, every abortion is a tragedy. And that is true, whether you like it or not. It is a tragedy because of how the child was conceived, or it is a tragedy because of the medical situation that leads to the mother's life being in jeopardy, or it is a tragedy because the person cannot support that child in some way, be it their age or their finances. Any way you slice it, it is a tragedy, and to treat it as anything less than that from anybody is disgusting. I have seen people praising getting, well, if I ever had to get an abortion, what did that lady say? Lady, I use that term loosely. She would have a big party, and she would have a cake that looked like an aborted fetus. That is disgusting. That is a sickness. That is an illness to have that. If that's the way you think, you have a problem. Now, let's look at the other side. This young woman, young couple, or old couple, whatever drove them to make that decision, they show up, and there are a bunch of people outside telling them that they're wrong and putting even more pressure on them. If you want to do something good, I am talking to all of you who will protest at abortion clinics. If you want to do something good, sit there with a little sign that says, I'd like to pray with you. Do you not think that those people have been through enough that they should come to this decision? Do you think they haven't been stressed out because of rape or incest, or because they're not in a place financially to take care of a child, or because they live in a lead-filled apartment in some borough in New York City, or because the father is a terrible human being and they know that this child's life will be terrible as long as he is in the picture, and he's only around the corner, so he will be in the picture. There is a lot that goes on in someone's head, and in their mind, in their heart, in their soul, when it comes to these decisions. Generally, there are the outsiders who see it as birth control, and that is a sickness. Topic for another time. But if you can't see why someone would want or feel that they need to have an abortion, you're on the wrong side, and you're not winning anyone to the kingdom. And likewise, as you're walking in and you see these people, they're not there to hurt you. You are already hurt. So it seems that they're picking a scab. But if you cannot understand why they would take their day to be there to try to stop you from having an abortion, or to persuade you in some way not to have an abortion, then you are also a fool. Most people are doing their best as best they know how. That is most people. Not everyone, but most people. And when you have a young girl who is so defeated by life and has a child inside of her that in a perfect world, or with the right amount of finances, or at the right age, or with the right partner, would be happy to have that baby, it is between her and Autumn. What happens? Hmm? And you can help, and you can offer kindness. And that's what understanding is really all about. Understanding is about being kind to each other. It's when we push it. It's when we say that someone, like a parent, is having difficulty with their child being a homosexual. They are the bad guy in modern society, right? And maybe they genuinely are the bad guy or girl. But let's take a minute to understand how they were raised, what's going on in their head. It doesn't make them right, and you certainly don't have to agree. But if we can take time to understand each other, or to understand, well, no son of mine is gay. Well, maybe he is. So take some time to understand. We lash out at each other constantly, and wave after wave of despair floods the world because we do not take a fraction of a second to understand why someone else would think or feel the way that they do. And if you can master understanding, you can master the world. And I will be by your side, on the sidelines, encouraging you the entire time. You are here because you are different. You are not like them. You can understand. And it starts with trying. When someone has a hatred for something, maybe instead of knocking it, you try to understand why they hate it. If someone has a love for something, maybe you try to understand why they love it. And you don't have to agree. There is nowhere in the book of rules that you have to agree. But you do have to try to understand. Because you have to make the world a better place. One understanding at a time. That is all the time I have for you today. So until I see you again, think with your mind, feel with your soul.